Hey Playas, how you doing? Welcome back to Playas Guide. On this episode of Playas Guide, I'm going to be covering pirated multi-carts for the Nintendo Entertainment System. So recently I've noticed these cartridges are a little bit harder to come by and a little bit more expensive. Actually, some of them are a lot more expensive, but I prefer the term overpriced. Um, these games were never really the cheapest, but there was a time where they were about 15, 20 bucks a few years back. And when that was the case, and you were able to find some occasionally at swap meets and different flea markets and places like that for $10 even, I would pick these up. I know I picked a few up off Nintendo Age. I tried to avoid eBay for picking these up because I knew they were out there in the wild and across multiple forums when people would sell off some of their collections. I'd kind of pick out some of the weird and different multi carts that I had never seen, and I feel like I amassed a pretty good collection here, one that I'm happy with. And over the past few years, I really haven't been picking these up. Now, part of that is also because I feel that they're overpriced now, a lot of them. But I'm going to be talking about a few here that maybe aren't overpriced and maybe you would appreciate if you do see them that are worth picking up, as well as a few games will be covered here that are commonly found on these cartridges and are definitely worth playing. So let's get right into it. First up, we have Circus Charlie. This is a game where you will be uh, timing your jumps from jumping through hoops, over monkeys, rolling balls. This game is actually a lot of fun, and you're going to find this one, just like many of the other games I'm going to start off mentioning here at the beginning of this video, on a lot of different multi-carts. These are the more common ones. We're going to get to some of the more obscure stuff a little bit later on in the video. So Zippy Race, you're on a motorcycle just trying to stay alive and dodge cars and puddles. This game, I'm not a big fan of this one. I do like Circus Charlie a lot. It's fun. It's a fun challenge that you can get addicted to. Road Fighter. This was released in both Japan and on PAL regions. A lot of these games were released in Japan. So this is kind of the same thing. This one's by Konami. It's a little bit nicer looking. Bird Week. So Bird Week, you fly around as a bird, a mother bird, collecting butterflies throughout the seasons. The seasons change in this, which I thought was really cool. And you feed those butterflies to your babies. After you feed them so many butterflies, I think it's 3 usually, then they will fly out of the nest. Ninja. Ninja, this is definitely a Famicom game that many of you will recognize. And yeah, you jump around shooting enemies with your ninja stars. It's pretty straightforward. A lot of these games are too. Arab. So here you play as a character who it's kind of weird to explain because it's like an arcade game. It wants to be like a Donkey Kong or a Popeye or something like that. It's just not as good. It's not terrible, but it's there are different stages. They're not laid out great, but it's still very playable. There's some that aren't that great on some of these multi carts. Arctic Adventure. You're playing as a penguin here. You get these flagpoles that give you different power ups, like the beanie cap, and then you also want to avoid holes and walruses, while also trying to grab fish that get thrown out of the holes for points. Crack and Pop. I don't really know what this game is about, but it's on a lot of multi carts. It's was obviously popular in Japan. Same with Nuts and Milk. Again, on a lot of multi carts. You can see what you do here. You want to get to, I guess it's like your girlfriend's house, a house. But first you have to collect the fruit and avoid the enemy, who does a really good job at following you. So you have to dodge him and then, go see your girlfriend in her house. Devil World. So this is kind of like Pac-Man, I want to say, even though it's not, because the screen is always moving around and you got to arm yourself with a cross. Here's a game 29-1. This one has some interesting stuff on it that you're not going to see on many multi-carts. We're going to start off with International Soccer 97. So this was made to based on the title screen to look like that this was a new game, but it is not. And it's soccer. It's not a bad soccer, though. Mortal Kombat 3, you might have seen that on the label of the multi-cart there. This is kind of cool. It's somebody tried to make this port of Mortal Kombat. Now, if you've played Mortal Kombat on the Game Boy, it's kind of like that. So here's a 2-in-1 game that I think came out in like 2000 or something. Okay, so that says Mortal Kombat 796, but this is not Mortal Kombat. I don't know what game this is. I believe it's based on some anime, which I don't watch a lot of anime. I know some people who are into gaming do. If you're one of those people and you know what this is, please let me know in the comments below. I would be interested. But the sprites are very detailed. So are the backgrounds. The game looks really good on the NES, and it plays all right too. It does look like it drops a few frames here and there, but it's interesting. It's something very different, very colorful. The second game on the cart has this beautiful intro screen with these leaves falling, very well animated, especially on the NES. I love it. It looks like Samurai Showdown. Now, it's an attempt at a port of Samurai Showdown, just like Mortal Kombat. These fighting games, a lot of them look pretty good. They don't play that great. It's hard to play a fighting game with only 2 buttons. So 118-1. The one thing that I did find interesting on this was Toy Story 2, which is Bomberman, and you play as a little Woody sprite here, instead of your regular Bomberman. So this is another game that you probably won't find on many multi-carts. So now we got the 6-in-1, the Super 6-in-1. I love the names of some of these. They're all super or whatever. So this one is got a lot of Sachin games on it. So a few that you might not be familiar with because they were not released by Color Dreams is this one here, Auto Upturn, where you're moving pieces of a puzzle to create a picture while avoiding a dog who has like a bone that hovers around him. Don't let it touch you. Magic Cube. This one was all right. It's sort of like one of those puzzle Tetris-y games. Reminds me a little bit, I guess, of Wario's Woods. Not as good as Wario's Woods, obviously, but it's trying to be like Wario's Woods. It's a Sachin game, so a lot of those games weren't that great. These two I didn't mind. I'm not going to show all of the Sachin games that were on that 6 cartridge because, as you could see from the screen there, a lot of them are Color Dreams games. These two I didn't think many people would be familiar with, so I covered them. Golden Game 260-1. This is one of the holy grails of pirated game collecting. Door Door. This is a game that you're going to see on maybe some other multi-carts. It is around. You play as like a little snowball, and you're trying to get these monsters and lure them into these open doors. And then after you've opened the door, you're going to go back and close the door so that they can't get out. Here's a game by Hang Schween, RCM. This cartridge has all or most of the RCM Hang Schween games, which were essentially very early type homebrews, only able to get distribution through pirated carts. Most, if not any of these games, have a designated cartridge release. Brush Roller, here's another one, came out in 1990. You are going to be chased by these little ghost type creatures, but you can roll them over with your brush roller, and that's how you eliminate them. To pass the level, you have to fully cover the map. There's this other little piano game here. I'm including these because these are all the RCM games. You can make some music. This one is called Punch Sprite. You can see what you do here. It's a whack-a-mole game. Here's a clone of Frogger. Again, another game made in 1990 by RCM. A lot of kind of garbage games here, but some unique ones. Wild Ball. This is on some other multi-carts. Everyone's looking for Wild Ball. Generally, these multi-carts with this game will go for more. Basically, it's rock, paper, scissors, and the girl takes off an article of clothing every time you beat her at rock, paper, scissors. Mahjong, nothing too special here. Hey, Playas, thank you so much for tuning in and subscribing to Playas Guide. I hope to catch you next week back here on the channel for another episode covering some retro games and video game collecting. Until next time, I'll catch you on the flip side.